AI applications in fintech, agriculture, and healthcare.
So we're here to discuss, as you said, the applications of AI in healthcare, fintech, and agriculture, and general AI applications. I'd like to open with everybody giving a short introduction about themselves, if that's okay. Yeah, we'll start with you, Raf.
So hi, I'm Rafael Sindiong. So I specialize more on the talkbot AIs and chatbot AIs, particularly with the BPOs and also fintech sector. So yeah, nice meeting you all.
Hi, good noon, everyone. I'm Jennifer Joyce Subang. I am the co-founder and the chief operating officer of AgriDOM Solutions Corp. We are into the drone technology in the application for agriculture.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christo Georgiev. I'm the country manager and chief operations officer for FinScore, which is an alternative data credit scoring provider in the Philippines.
Hello, my name is Abdul. I currently serve as a chief operating officer for Ant Solutions. We are from Mongolia. I'm actually a Mongolian. And I realized that because I'm a mix from Mongolia and Somalia, when I come to Manila, everybody speaks in Tagalog with me. So I found out that you mix a Mongolian and Somalian, you get a Filipino.
Taktoy.
Oh, Toktoy.
Yeah, Penula. I speak Mongolian.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I confirm.
Let's do the rest of the panel in Mongolian.
My favorite vodka is Soyombo. How do you see AI really enhancing or taking care of those issues? It's not just you, it's a couple of people on the panel that they can address this. We'll go down the line.
Okay. Hello. In terms of the fintech sector and also the unbanked population in the Philippines, I think probably a lot of Filipinos are actually unbanked, and there are more than 100 million Filipinos available in the Philippines, right? And I think one of the key things is probably verification. How do we make it easy for them to be able to access national IDs, verifications online? And I think the fintech sector has really penetrated very well. Particularly when they register, they have to have registered SIM card, they have the registered verifications, which started last year. In terms of the AI, and it's a volume based, right? It has to have a faster processing time, and I believe AI technology right now can really process faster and no answer queries with available systems that can do it on API transfer and all of those AI technology. So currently, there's a lot of registration that happened last year, which is led by the government, which a lot of AI companies now are working with the ICT government. Yeah.
Joy, I know your specialty is agriculture and drones, but do you have anything to comment on this?
Well, currently here in the Philippines, I think the one that is most popular right now in terms of the application of AI in agriculture is the use of the agricultural drones. And this, with the use of agricultural drones, the drones for agriculture is...
We'll get to agriculture in a minute. But
okay.
On the fintech side, do you have anything to add to that particular line?
Well, farmers are one of those that unbanked.
Unbanked, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you got your pile of money in a mattress somewhere, right?
Yeah, they keep it in their house. So having fintech will definitely, if those farmers will be able to adopt to it, it's really helpful. Because right now they still do manual. I mean, they have to physically hand over payments.
My name is Manuel labor.
Okay.
Christo.
I have a relatively unique perspective in that, considering that our company has been at the forefront of machine learning and AI in the Philippines since before it was cool to be in AI. One of the biggest challenges in the country, I think our co-panelists already mentioned, is the fact that there is almost 70%, I guess, of the population pre-pandemic used to be unbanked. Nowadays, it's about 45%, and that's only due to the advent of e-wallets that are used as quasi-banks by the population in the country. And where AI fits into this is in accessing the information that is already stored in locked ecosystems, and being able to access this information and run big data machine learning models and derive value out of it that allows verification use cases, credit scoring use cases, customer segmentation use cases, and overall allowing businesses to get to know their customers a little bit better and figure out how to serve them in the best possible way. I believe that's where the best application of AI in the fintech sector could be, and where it has been in the last couple of years, and certainly with the direction in which it's going.
Abdul?
Yeah, so totally agree with Christo here. We're also in and solutions. We also provide a credit scoring solution back in Mongolia and various different countries. But specifically for Philippines, while we are talking about diverse applications of AI, where we are currently focusing in is document processing. So we're using AI to understand documents and then generate data, tangible information from those documents, which eventually can help products such as FinScore to evaluate customers further. So we're launching our product specifically more in Philippines because there's just the amount of processes that is being handled through manual documents. It's severe.
This country keeps Oki Data still in business. The only place that I know that still uses line printers.
I agree. And for us, there's a range of applications that you can apply AI along the processes. And what we try to aim to do is that tiny percentage, but it takes a time from a lot of people's work. So we try to automate that by utilizing AI, and it can be very beneficial for all of the partners from the relationship in the process, right? So the customers, they get to receive their responses from the financial institution quickly, and the financial institutions can save a lot of time from people who are dealing with manual documents. They can do, instead of, if they can do like 3 bank statements for a day, they can do 10, 15 easily per day, right? And then so it helps their business become much more faster, customer satisfaction go right. So it seems like a very small problem, but in overall, it also ties with credit scoring, FinScore, and then eventually it can help the entire ecosystem. That's how we see it.
Without a real national credit reporting agency, I think it's exciting to see that AI could potentially look at everybody's history and create a generic score or a risk profile for each person, right? Does everybody agree?
Yes,
absolutely, absolutely. And there is even a little bit more to that. If you think about like in credit in general is related to reputation, related to information. And this information, there's multiple different ways in which you can capture it. Even in the countries in which basically there is an existing credit information that is working, there is national IDs, there is income registries, which is most of the developed countries. They are better at a better stage than where the Philippines is at the moment. The Philippines is still building up these traditional information rails, I suppose. Even there, financial institutions or generally any digital business in reality doesn't have all the possible info that they should have about their customers. It's just not there. Our reputation is dispersed in sometimes tens, sometimes hundreds of different places online. Your booking.com status is reputation. Your Grab wallet is reputation. All of your Gcash behavior is reputation. So finding a way to aggregate this information and servicing it to digital businesses has amazing use cases, not only for credit, but overall for any customer verification, customer information purposes.
I agree. Getting that information and just even social behavior adds to somebody's potential credit profile or their reputational behavior, right? If somebody's going to ghost you on a credit score or something, you know. So let's move on to agriculture. So how do you see AI, and I know in particular drones in your case, how do you see that helping optimize and optimize crop yields as well as minimize losses in the industry, especially
Yeah.
in the Philippines, which is traditionally it is manual labor, right?
Yeah. Well, for one, in the actual, what's really happening in the Philippines, because we started introducing the use of agricultural drones way back in 2019. So we started with our own farm. Okay. The very reason for that, I mean, it's because our farm is located in a mountainous area. So
Right.
it's kind of
Well, I'm not a tourist.
yeah, and doing labor there is, I mean, doing all those farm practices is very laborious and very inefficient. So, so when we found that, okay, when you do pesticide spraying, you can make use of the drones rather than using backpack sprayer. So for one is, it becomes more cost efficient as well because labor is getting expensive right now. And then aside from that, it also optimizes the use of the fertilizers and pesticides. So you're able to save, okay? Because there's less to no wastage at all. Because you're more efficient, you're more precise in terms of the application. And then aside from that, in terms of environment, did you know that versus manual spraying or versus manual application, the water is reduced by 90%. Okay.
Also, the potential health hazards of handling pesticides. They kill things, right?
Yeah, and of course, less exposure. And then aside from that, the other applications of the drone is, as you mentioned about the crop monitoring. So with that, it's very easy for you to supervise. Just imagine, because I'm located in the northern part here in the Philippines, where we grow Cavendish banana, which we export all over. I mean, which we export. So
Mostly export rather than
Yes.
internal consumption, right?
yeah, and well, Philippines is the second biggest or largest exporter of Cavendish banana in the world. And with that, it's very tedious if you have plantations that are hundreds and what more thousands of hectares. So how can you manage or supervise or monitor that? So it's very easy right now with the use of drones.
Rafael, I know it's not your field, but do you have any comments?
Yeah, because our family has a farm as well, but we never implemented AI yet. So probably I will talk to her as well about how to do that, because currently our farm is probably 80 kilometers away from where we live. So we have to visit it also, how often one another, and then all of these pilferages, all of these mistakes along the way. And with the use of drones is proper monitoring, and probably as an AI is more data analytics, getting the right data, how to improve, what will be the next step given this data that's provided, rather than just trusting whatever the human farmer has mentioned to you, but just all based on trust if you're not always there. So yeah.
They start drinking Ginebra at about
Yeah.
9 a.m. and continue on throughout the day. Christo, do you have any comment?
Agriculture definitely not my forte, but just to second a couple of the comments from our fellow panelists. On the one hand side, building algorithms based depending on weather conditions, for example, historical weather conditions can be very beneficial for essentially better crop and better harvesting purposes. And the other field is, I know that the Department of Agriculture in the Philippines has been looking into, and here we're going to make a pivot back to fintech again, has been looking into finding a reliable way for quite some time to be able to extend credit to farmers and fishermen specifically, and being able to aggregate both the information about historical weather conditions, historical harvest conditions, and the propensity for repayment by the people that are actively involved in agriculture. Is combining all of these data points can allow actually the government to support the private sector quite a lot, and particularly the SMEs that are invested in feeding the rest of the population. So I think there is a plethora of design field open in that sector.
Abdul, do you have any comment?
Yes, of course. So, as I already mentioned, that we're in the AI for documents business. So it can be like basically industry agnostic. So where there's a process that's being tedious within a company, it can be improved using the AI with documents. I wasn't prepared to talk about this, to be honest, but we did have a meeting with a drone company. They requested to meet with us. And their scenario was because they moved to drones and then they're giving services to all of these farms. All the pilots were using, they had to make reports because the drones, there's battery limitations, and then they can do, they have to do like a repeated process. So they do track a lot of these, how many minutes on the air and how much amount of products that they're spraying, right? And then usually these pilots, they write it down on the reports. And then, but then what does that mean? There's somebody else who is going to receive those handwritten documents, and they have to go through that to make up the number. So we actually had a discussion about that because our the main advantage of dealing with AI for documents is it can also understand handwritten documents, and then regardless of the shape and template of the document itself. So it can be applied into various type of scenarios such as this, and maybe we can have a discussion afterwards.
Yeah, actually, he was referring to our company. Yeah. So just to add a little bit about it is that, yes, right now I was talking about the drones, okay? But the data is we still have to do it manually. We're still going to get those data, though the drones can also provide those data, but we have to combine it with what is the actual application in the field. And with that, as mentioned, is we can convert that into having a data analytics, and then it can create records for our farmers, for our growers to be able to improve their chances for credit financing. And good thing Abdul is here is that, yeah, all those manual has a solution already that it can be read and can be gathered together and easily from those manual and digitize it.
Let's talk about a general topic, which is given the sudden ubiquity of AI and large language models, do you see that countries need to like force or develop the training as a skill set in colleges and universities? Is it a skill set, or is it an enhancement to current skills that somebody might have?
Yeah, I believe it should be like an enhancement as well. So very important to have the education and awareness for these college students as we are implementing AI, particularly giving them the proper knowledge base and proper ethical behavior. Why? Because we need to be able to deploy and develop AI features that are responsible with no misuse or any privacy concerns. So I believe when we develop these skills as we go along with our college students as well, in the long term, it will benefit overall. Particularly, I remember Jensen Wang, one of the founders of NVIDIA, said it's very important that when we teach programming to college students and all, it's really what output do we want from this, because we want to be able to do an artificial intelligence program already so that everyone can be a programmer rather than being limited on how will be implemented, but what is the output they want, and we can use AI for that. So in the near future, and even now, I believe really AI should already be part of the school premises as well. And then in terms of soft skills, how can we be relevant in the future? I think probably resilience, proper adaptability, continuous learning, and then always subject to change. You always have to accept change is always there. And I remember one of the quotes of Jeff Bezos before was that everybody wants to be in business, right? 10 years from now, what will not change? Everybody wants a cheaper service, faster quality, right? At the most value. And if AI can be able to deliver that with the right resources, I believe AI is going to be very good in terms of helping other students as well.
Jennifer?
Well, I think he summarized everything. But anyway, and my thoughts is that, well, aside from it's a skill that can be learned, okay, but of course, not all of us can be programmers or developers. However, with all the available AI platforms right now, what I think is needed is for the younger generation or for any all ages should be aware, should be educated that hey, there's this tool that we can utilize, that we can use so that it will help us in our when we do our job. Like as what you said, that I mean, if it's something that we can perform our tasks shorter and better quality at the most value.
Christo?
I'll bring it a level further even, and I would say that anyone that doesn't use LLMs in maybe the next 5 years is going to be at a severe disadvantage economically, financially, in any shape or form possible. Educationally, certainly as well, productivity-wise, no doubt. And that it should be a mandatory part of first our continuous lifelong learning process as individuals of both university and school curriculum, and probably in certain cases as early as elementary schools. I mean, if you can access information in a better and faster way, and you choose not deliberately to do it, it's going to be like being able to send emails and still using a post office in 2024. That's how I'm looking at it.
Abdul?
There's this recent, I would say, a caption that I just read. It was a little bit funny. So with AI, we want the AI to wash the dishes and wash the clothes so I can focus on my actual work, but not the other way around, that I'm washing the dishes and clothes and AI is doing my job, right? So the direction is definitely, it's going to, like the assistant robots are being deployed, I think, like within the end of the year or something like that. But regardless of our working perspective, in a professional services, it's definitely not going to replace professionals immediately, right? So there's definitely, we look at it as an enhancement type of way, but enhancement will also give you that significant benefit where you are skipping through all of these tedious processes, and then these tasks that can be automated where AI is performing much better, and then like the professional employee should be the one handling the wheels, is how I see it, and definitely suggested to take up on that approach so that you won't be left behind, as Christo said.
Yeah, cool. On that same note, just going down that rabbit trail a little bit, what do you feel some of the downfalls may be, like plagiarism, use of other people's code or proprietary information? How do you see that being dealt with in a longer term situation?
Yeah, I think it's happening to schools right now where the teachers look at that the chat GPT is being used by a lot of students as well. So yes, it's very important because the critical thinking is getting lost already because they're trying to rely on chat GPT, especially if you think about it, chat GPT 4, chat GPT overall is now like 100 million users in just the past 2 months when they were implemented. But to give you a brief history of that, telephones took 22 years to reach, televisions took 22 years to reach 50 million users. Facebook, 3 years to reach 50 million users, but the chat GPT is 100 million in terms of into just 2 months. So imagine the gravity that is being right now, that there's a risk of like plagiarism. But I believe that there should be some regulations and limitations right now. Like in the Philippines, I think lawyers are already speeding up a lot of processes regarding this as well, because if not, you're going to be left behind. Just to give you an example, right now with debt collection. Debt collection calls, we have laws already that you're not allowed to call night hours. So you're only limited. So if you can put all of these into picture, proper compliances as well, and then track, maybe we can also use an AI to track these plagiarizers as well, then this will also be limited. So I think the number one here is control. Very important to have that control. Just to give you an example, there are also like 430 million population of the ASEAN population. And in the Philippines, there are around 185 languages. So we need to be able to really do like hyper personalization, hyper localization in tracking these as well, moving forward to ensure that we will be compliant. And I think the European market is quite fast right now in implementing compared to the ASEAN market. But eventually we will be able to catch up. And for us ASEANs as well, we have to really go global, understand them, and leverage on their skills and capabilities already in terms of implementing this.
Jennifer?
I was thinking of how this plagiarism can be incorporated in terms of the agriculture data, but I know that though, yeah, I totally agree with you because I'm using ChatGPT also. But in terms of that, still, yeah, we need we still have to look into on how are we going to use this kind of tools. I mean, we still have to take a part of it. I mean, not totally be dependent on it. And then, well, if now they're using this kind of tools to develop and to enhance what we have, like, but I know that there's also other tools to counter that one. So, yeah, I think you still have to improve more on education also, so that we will not be very dependent on this kind of platform.
Christo?
Since we are at the AI and blockchain conference that provide a different perspective, potentially you can adopt digital provenance by using blockchain technologies in order to secure your work or to copyright it or to make sure that it's tagged under your name. And that's one way in which you can ensure authenticity and prevent plagiarism. I think there is still not enough effort in that direction, and it's one of the areas in which potentially we'll see more development the next couple of years.
Abdul?
Yeah, so I prefer to take like an entrepreneur approach. So every problem that we have, like we create a product and it's always going to create another problem, right? And then there's startups, there's people always going to come up with solutions to solve that problem. That's the way I like to see it. So, and it's already started to happen. Like, for example, like there's deep fakes now going all over the place where they're imitating people, and then there's fraud detection companies, they are including that in their service to identify them, right? And then plagiarism, there's also services that's already there to detect whether this was AI generated or not. So regulations and rules, I know like me working in the fintech industry, I should not be saying this, but tend to follow afterwards. Actually, at the event that we are here today, entertainment, iGaming, porn, these are these industries that actually lead innovation within the technology industry, right? And then banking sector follows, and then the rules and regulations follows. So that's how I see it.
I think we're getting pretty close on time, but let's talk about healthcare. How do you see AI helping in expanding the healthcare to other people that may not have access to traditional healthcare, as well as aid in diagnosis, as well as the problems with misdiagnosis of people based on the AI?
Well, for me, it's not my forte, the AI for healthcare, but I think overall, I've seen that there's a really huge demand in terms of AI analyzing diagnosis as well. So currently, I like in patient care and also probably getting more data with insurance companies as well, implementing this, and then these AI features that you also report to the hospitals to at least further collect data. For example, in the Philippines, one of the challenges that we have is that when you go to a hospital, that is not going to be centralized to other hospitals. You have to go to another hospital, then they will again assess you. But rather, if you have that data being centralized already with an AI technology in the near future, the analysis will be deeper and deeper already rather than start from scratch again. Yeah.
Maybe knowing somebody has a predisposition hereditarily or some sort of allergy that was diagnosed when they were a child, right? Jennifer?
Though I'm not very much familiar with the healthcare application of AI, but on a personal perspective, I think AI can help Like for example, especially on certain types of sickness or diseases we're in, as a person, you are not that open to discuss this with in public or with a doctor, personal doctor. I just hope that there's something like that can be developed with all the data that had been gathered. Like, okay, if I'm just going to scan myself, then it will tell me, okay, what are those sickness or diseases that I have, right? Based on all the information that has been gathered.
They look at me and I have a fatty liver disease. Too much alcohol. Christo?
I think the two main use cases that I'm familiar with are in primary healthcare. It's a little known fact that on average a primary healthcare specialist can spend up to 7 minutes with their patients. Now in 7 minutes, I don't know what kind of diagnosis they can make, but it's probably not going to be very good. And on top of that, they have a natural human limitations on how many patients they can visit per day. Now, with the help of LLMs and particularly specialized LLMs that are trained on healthcare data, both the scalability in terms of number of patient searches as well as the scalability in terms of actual time spent with a patient can be resolved to a very big degree. And in addition to that, you can also upload data that can be analyzed by with the help of artificial intelligence and machine learning models from various kind of wearables, for example, Oura rings, Apple watches, Garmin watches, etc., your Circle DNA or 23andMe, and have all of this like 360-degree view of your health profile, be proper analyzed and taken into consideration when you get a diagnosis. None of this is actually being done when you go to a primary healthcare today. And the second one is in diagnostics. I mean, you can easily train an AI model based on historical disease cases for a very particular disease, and you can train it to recognize when the same factors are present and give a diagnosis that can after that be confirmed by a doctor. This again, it's going to improve accuracy, it's going to improve performance, and it's going to improve scalability in healthcare. So I think that's the next generation services that are going to make our lives better.
Abdul?
So actually, before I joined Ant Solutions, I created my startup, which is in a teleconsultant industry. So it's still operational today, but we haven't introduced AI to our company yet, but did a lot of look into this. So regarding the diagnosis part, it's actually true. It was one of the main applications of AI before all of this, before ChatGPT, right? Even back in 2019, AI diagnosis was performing much better compared to a human doctor diagnosis. So now you can imagine compared to 2019, today it must have had like significant improvement from then. But the part that excites me the most is when you have all of these data, so health data that's stored, not only more accurately diagnosis, the comparison part that becomes interesting to me. So there can be other, like we always think as individuals, but there are still other similar male, 31-year-old with similar body shape and with similar, body intake. That's so many around the world. And when you have that data, and then you have similarities going on, and then you can train the AI models to pick up these different health issues that be coming up, and then you can use that to prevent it for the others who are with the similar information demographics. So that's what I think would be the future, and to be honest, the most exciting part for me the most. The only difficult part is obviously the data.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time. We would have had room for questions, but we don't have an AI to summarize everybody's questions and deliver it to us. So I hope everybody's had a good time, and feel free to ask any of the panelists questions after the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.